Well, joining us now to give his take on things is Ross Gerber, President and CEO of Gerber Kawasaki. Ross, many thanks for joining us. Let's start with the CPI number then. Higher than expected, market's taken a turn. Give us your assessment.
Well, the U.S. economy is still plugging along pretty strong, and obviously just expecting the U.S. economy to just roll over and to have some sort of deflation right now is not realistic. So, inflation was, zero point 0.1 higher than expected, and so we obviously see these reactions. But really, the drop in inflation is going to start next month, and we're going to see dramatic decreases in the inflation rate over the next 6 months in the United States. And we see a massive deceleration in the global economy right now. So what we see in front of us is clearly the Fed's actions are causing a lot of concern in markets, a lot more so than actually the inflation. So what we've seen is the American consumer is strong, and they're out and they're spending money, and they're just not rolling over because rates have gone up. And at the same respect, on a macro level, we're seeing this big slowdown in front of us.
We're entering third quarter earnings season, financial sector reporting this week. And what do you think that will tell us about the state of the economy?
Well, I think the financials are going to basically say the consumer is strong, but they're going to be increasing their loan loss reserves because obviously we have no idea yet how deep the recession will be that the Fed causes, if they cause one, which now is looking about 75% chance in my mind or higher. And so, banks are going to be conservative, but their actual numbers will probably be decent, irrelevant of the loan loss reserves. But I think with other companies, the biggest challenge is the rising dollar more than actually, sales and demand. So what we're really seeing is this international, I would say, dislocation among the U.S. policies and policies of the rest of the world on a monetary basis, along with the differences in our economies, is causing a lot of disruption. And the Fed has to keep this in mind as well, as it's an important part of business is having some sort of currency stability among our global trading partners. So it's going to be, I think, a decent quarter actually for a lot of companies. Despite rising costs, they've passed those on to consumers, as we've seen with the inflation numbers. And the biggest challenge is the dollar.
Ross, I wanted to get your take on how much external factors are affecting the US market. Of course, we've got the turmoil here in the UK, and then the IEA is warning that OPEC Plus's oil supply cuts are going to tip the world into a global recession. What impact are those things having on US markets?
Well, I just want to make it clear that OPEC is the enemy of the Western world. So we shouldn't be confused at all that their entire goal is bolstering Russia's genocide in Ukraine. So the rest of the world, let's be clear, OPEC is the enemy of the global economy and basically human rights. And so, we're at war over commodities, and obviously the people in Europe know this much more than the people in the United States. This is a war, and it's a global war over resource. And so, this is a very important thing for the Fed to keep in mind as well, is that when we raise rates here in the United States, we're raising it on the whole world, and the rest of the world isn't as good a financial position as the United States economically, and yet this is a crucial market for a large percentage of U.S. companies. So the Fed, I think this is part of the problem, is not looking at the global stage as much as the domestic, and that's why their policies have created this turmoil in the UK in particular, because of many of the issues that UK caused, but also being sort of driven by US policy. So this is a really challenging time, and also you have a new government in England that clearly is clueless. So you've got, England is a tough place right now.
You're telling us, Ross. Thank you very much for your insight. Ross Gerber, President and CEO, Gerber Kawasaki. Thank you.